Why is mediocrity not an option for you?
It just never has been. I just think that that's something that was instilled in me by my parents. You know, excel in everything. Put your best foot forward. Extra effort. It doesn't matter like what I do, like what endeavor I pursue. You know, I'm always going to give a little extra because you just have to. You just have to. There's no excuse for not. And it really does kind of. I get disappointed when I maybe read people's work or see projects that people have done, and you can tell that they didn't put their all into it, right? Um, and and then sometimes they still get rewarded for it. They're still praised for it. And it's just like, but come on, you can tell that this person put no effort into what was done, and we're praising and we're rewarding them. And I don't know, it kind of takes the wind out of my sails sometimes because it's just like I see other people, such as myself, who really do put in that effort, who won't settle for mediocrity and want to give the best and present the best and are constantly overlooked.
What does mediocrity look like in a screenplay? And why do you think those people are allowed to have a pass?
Why they're allowed to have a pass, I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it could be because of relationships, or I'm not sure. But when you ask me like what does it look like from what I've seen, like I would just say like a general sloppiness, a general disregard for the craft, for the form. And you can see it. Um, I've had people give me scripts and they're formatted poorly. The font face is, I don't know, Times New Roman, different sizes, and just all over the place. And I would tell them, I would like, look, you may have a great story here, but you got to make this presentable. Let's get it to industry standard. You can't look like this. Make sure your margins are correct. You can't. There's software. There's free software that will help you do this. And the people that take the advice, and it's like, okay, you can tell that they're in it. They're serious about this. But then there are some people that are just like, yeah, no, I don't care. I want to do it this way. And it blows my mind. But that to me is an example. If you don't have a respect or a reverence for the form, then I know that you're not taking the story seriously. If you can, this is the bare minimum. I feel that you're not taking the story seriously, right? Um, what do you really know about film? Like, is this the medium that you should be, writing for? Okay, maybe you have a story, but if you can't get this right, or if then maybe you need to tell your story in another form. Um, but yeah, I just feel like you can see it. I mean, I hate to use the word sloppy, but just the sloppiness. I feel that is a sure side of mediocrity, and I've seen it far too often.
So then what font size should they write in?
I mean,
Or
and I mean the standard is what the Courier font, 12-point font,
okay.
and I don't really want to get into a whole formatting thing because I know people feel a certain way about script formatting, but I just feel like it's one of the just basic pillars of screenwriting. You've just got to know the format. There are books upon books upon books, and screenwriting apps, that will help you write your screenplay in the correct format. And if you can't be bothered, if you're calling yourself a screenwriter, even an aspiring screenwriter, and you can't be bothered to learn correct format, then what does that say for, seriously, what does that say for your work? Or what does that say for your plans, in this industry?
If you are writing a story, you may be interested in our new book, the sponsor of today's video. After months of working on a story, have you ever said to yourself, I don't know what my main character wants. Why are my side characters more interesting than my main character? 17 Steps is a workbook-style tool with specific questions to help you dive deep into your main character and story. We've linked up to 17 steps below.